Hi, everyone. I'm Pip from Seymour Digital Media. You're listening to Know How Marketing Lab podcast. This podcast brings together different experts in marketing from our Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Each week we get on here and we talk about something search marketing like Google Ads or SEO, social media marketing from Facebook to TikTok, or website marketing. If you're a marketer or aspiring marketer, a business owner or entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. We're going to share the best SEO, search, social, and website strategies. We share tips and hacks, Google Ads strategies, what's going on in the current market. Each week we discuss something exciting and awesome in marketing. If you don't know me, I'm Pip and Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer with Greg, Rena, and Phelan, who are all going to introduce themselves and what they do. Okay, over to Greg.
Hey everyone, I'm Greg with Original 72 Creative, and we're a full-service website graphic design and digital marketing firm in Vancouver.
Hi, I'm Rena Little from Little Works Indie Media, and I have a little marketing agency also in Vancouver.
And I'm Phelan. I work with Pip at Seymour Digital Media, where we focus on search engine marketing.
So each month we get on here and talk about all the things happening in our industries. Each of us specialize in different things, but there's a bit of crossover. Greg is the website guy that knows pretty much everything there is to know about websites, really. So he claims anyway. Greg?
Never claimed that.
But you were talking earlier, Greg, about a new WordPress thing coming out. What's going on there?
Yeah, they're in release candidate 2 for the newest version of WordPress 6.1, and the scheduled release for 6.1 should be November 1st. A couple of notable things would be there's going to be a brand new theme for 2023. Like the last theme, I believe, was fully block-based theme builder, which means you can install this theme and completely customize it how you want, headers, footers, content. Like, it's completely block-based theme, which you can also have stylings too. And it's when you set up the theme, there's like a picker of up to 10 different colors and font styles that you can choose from initially. Fully customizable after you choose it as well.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, block-based themes, they're not really a thing yet, but WordPress is really pushing their default theme in that direction. But like if you look at other popular frameworks, Astra, Cadence, GeneratePress, and those, they're still not block-based themes. They're customizable themes with header and footers that you can customize, and then you use the block builder, Gutenberg block builder, within the content and posts to create your content. So it's like a hybrid almost current themes. Yeah.
The more I learn about websites, the more I know that I need to leave it to the professionals. Like that, honestly, you get to a certain point, you're like, I like my specialty over here. This is where I'm really interested. Because I do oftentimes want to bash my head against a wall when I try to do things. Mind you, by the way, Greg, I do need your help with something later. Mm-hmm. Phelan, is Shopify, because it's got something new with like a block builder thing. Is that what Greg's talking about?
Yeah, it's very similar to that, where the new Shopify is entirely block-based. I think they fully rolled out Hydrogen, which is the coding framework, and so it makes it super easy for them to do block building no matter the page. So before it was just block building on the home page. Now it's going to be block building on product pages. Then you could save them into templates, and so then you could reuse them later on. That it's like,
this is my super fun.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cool. I've played around a little bit with it, and I went, oh, okay, this is already like doing analysis paralysis to me. I'm like, there's too many options here already, which is good. The block builder for Shopify is very similar to the one for WordPress. There's obviously differences based on how the backends is it, but it's definitely gives you a lot of flexibility as well. So yeah, that's definitely one that has been pretty cool to see as well. Just like makes it super easy for non-coders to get in there and actually get like the exact way that it looks, and it's not going to be some like overly janky drag and drop system like Divi or Meta, where they were, or Elementor, where it's just like they did a lot of. It was useful in a lot of ways, but definitely the new systems are a lot better, and I think they're going to be the future.
The start of the push of this was definitely with the like Elementor and Divi and those page builders, because they are in essence building a page with different types of blocks. And so that's sort of where the block builder came from, is separate building blocks that you can insert within the page wherever you want to. And that's really what these page builders came out of, is the ability to be able to open a page and be like, okay, what do I want this to look like? And start throwing in a column block and then putting in text in each column. And so that block building type of functionality, it's really given the tools to people building sites to really create complex layouts however they like. So this is just more of a push from WordPress to bring the platform up to date with what these page builders created in the native WordPress, as well as any other platform, which is basically just using that block-based feel of being able to take elements and throwing them wherever you want on the page.
The earliest version that I can think of for block builders was MailChimp. I want to know if anyone was doing that before MailChimp.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I want to know, where did that originate from? Because that is actually quite brilliant, because it takes the design out of the hands. You don't have to have a designer. You don't have to have a developer. You can really just DIY things really quite easily now.
I would actually argue that.
Yeah. Well,
because although you have the functionality and the ability to do it, that doesn't mean people know design and how to actually put something else that will look good.
Yeah. That's a whole other conversation. But what I'm saying is that for people like photographers who know basic composition from photography, which is that's sort of where I come from, is that I can actually figure out where my design elements can mostly go. And MailChimp already, they don't give you 6 columns. They give you 3 columns. They give you 2 columns. And so they sort of set you up to not fail already. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't give you all of the options, but they give you enough options that you can actually manage. So absolutely correct. If you have 0 skills, then you're going to want to look at a book like the Design for the Non-Designers. There's some really ugly looking things that people have put together using block builders. But I do think that the potential is there for people to get a basic thing happening without having to invest a whole lot on their own.
Well, especially for the people just starting.
Send out an email and get to your clients.
Right. And I mean, one of the most disappointing things about Shopify was the fact that you couldn't do very much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Super disappointing. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Unless you bought the custom themes, which always seem to have glitches. So,
and even WordPress, which is meant to be easy, it's very complicated. But let's get back on the topic, is what you're trying to say.
No. I love the website stuff because it is such a fundamental part of marketing. And websites people don't often associate them with marketing. They're kind of their own, kind of like email marketing I like to say the redheaded stepchild of marketing, just saying. You know what I mean? That's just because, it's old and it doesn't work on. It's just a whole different ballgame. Anyway, yes. Okay. Other things in the news. Let's go with social.
Okay. So we were having this conversation. If you caught me rambling on when Pip goes live, usually we get a countdown to go live. I don't know what happened this time, but anyways, my ramblings were, in our notes, we had that Facebook group Stories was a thing launching, but that's not true. Stories have been rolled back, of course, last month. It's Reels that is the thing. So you now have the ability to do that in groups. Then some of the other things are YouTube.
What's the difference?
Like a story?
One on Instagram, one on Facebook?
Story is just one sort of image. Reel, you can use one image to make a reel, but it's video based, really, is what it is. Yeah.
Because I always
video-based.
associated Reels with Instagram and Stories with Facebook, but it is in fact Reels are the video, Stories are
Yeah,
the.
yeah. Yeah, they're
Okay.
basically stealing the names and using them arbitrarily across all platforms. So they're just,
I
yeah,
I
reels
had
are
to
really,
tell a client this week. I was like, okay, so you have shorts on YouTube, you have TikToks on TikTok, I think, and then you have Reels on Instagram and Stories on Facebook. She was like, oh, I was like,
but you actually have a lot of all of that on all of them. And that's one of the confusing issues. And really, now I'm looking at the platforms thinking it's really about your target market and less about the type of media that you're
mm,
putting out. And a lot of that media, as we've seen, you can see the little TikTok logo in the corner of the Instagram videos and all of that stuff. So it just gets put out. Yeah, it can be really confusing. You're absolutely right. So we can't really think about the platforms as different media formats as it
mm,
traditionally was. We have to actually think about our target market and where they are. So it has to do with more about demographics. Basically, you want to get it all out there everywhere.
right. I think the short form videos, like I really do dig the 1 to 2 minute
Yeah,
videos where I learn
yeah,
something pretty quick. I think
yeah.
that's the future,
Yeah,
right?
when TikTok put up their 5 minute videos or whatever they were, 4 or 5 minute videos, or I find myself scrolling before
Leaving
they're
it.
finished. Yeah, I
Oh
want to
yeah.
watch the quick ones.
It's a bit
Yeah,
long, yeah?
yeah,
So
totally. And
what
so
else
the
is
next,
going on?
yeah, so I guess in November they're launching handles for YouTube, which is not that different than the vanity URLs that you could get previously. But I noticed that they started to put up roadblocks as to whether or not you could get those vanity URLs. I was trying for quite some time to get one. You used to have 1,000 followers, and then you had to have different things in place, and you had to wait to get the notification on your dashboard in order to get it. But now they're launching, I think it's November 17th, where you can get what they're calling a username. And it looks like, from what Phelan was saying the other day, the username is going to allow you to sort of act more like you do in social platforms where you can, what were you saying the other day, Phelan, where you could,
At
as that URL?
Yeah. Well, like
Yeah.
my guess
Oh,
is that it's going to be like adding people, like you could make,
yeah.
and so that's going to be like a way that you could then connect different mentions of that person. And
Right.
it just seems to me like that they're looking for a way to kind of make it closer to like a TikTok or Facebook, like how they network people is not like
Yeah.
it's like these people, and because of that, you're probably going to have these
Yeah.
personality traits because you know them. And
Right.
TikTok does it for like taste, so it's like, oh, you like cat video, show you more cat video, and
That's
so that's how they network these things.
Yeah, so whereas YouTube used to just sort of be a place where you put things to go out, and then they included the streaming, and you could kind of interact with comments during streaming, but now you're really going to be able to be way more social. So I think we're going to have to start thinking about YouTube, if we haven't already, as a social space.
Well, it's funny because it always had a lot of chatter in the comments,
Yeah,
but it also had so many trolls,
I know.
right?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible
Uh, well,
because
yeah.
I think you have two settings. You have private videos and you have public videos. And so
Unlisted.
it's not like, well, unlisted is, it's true, but it's not like a Facebook group where you have an audience, right? You don't know who your audience is. It can be anyone. It's beyond just who's
Mm,
subscribing to you. So it's like having a public facing, it's like a Facebook page really, where it's public and anyone can find you and anyone can look at your stuff, which is totally fine. But that does get, that's what makes you open to more trolls and
mm.
problems in that way, and comment moderation problems.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can turn off the, like, I have it set so that to mediate the comments first.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never
yeah.
tried that. I've always just left comments up because I figure it's an algorithmic push, unless it's completely terrible, like against human rights and things like that. But generally speaking, I leave bad comments almost everywhere. I might
Right?
hide them. I might hide them, but I really don't delete. I find that actually things can really escalate if you delete. People will start doing things like screen capturing your conversation and then
Mm,
throwing it into other spaces that you don't have any control over. So I don't think that deleting is necessarily the best answer.
right.
Mhm.
Didn't you tell us yesterday, Rena, or tell me it was so exciting? Like some of the best, I don't know, maybe it's a tip versus the news, but you know how you can do the chapters in YouTube videos.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is something I figured out yesterday because I wanted to do this.
It's been around for a while, and I love it actually.
Yeah, but that's not the best part. The best part is you can actually just embed one chapter on your blog post. So basically what I'm looking to do is I create this very long how-to blog post, which I'm really digging, and I want to have all of the screen caps on the how-to, but I also have a video. But instead of having the video up at the top and then having this really long scroll down scenario, we're going to just embed the chapters that pertain to that next sort of large step, and then the next video with the next set of steps, so that people can utilize the two different learning styles within the blog post. I'm very excited about that.
Well, not only that, it'll create longer watch time or more watch time. So it'll actually, it's quite a good strategy. I'm going to try it too.
Yeah. The best strategies in my mind are the ones that fix a user experience, right? And because those are the strategies that Google is going to keep around. It's never a gray hat, right? It's always right.
Want to know more about SEO? We've got a class for that. Our mission is to educate students about the right tools, techniques, and strategies to grow their businesses using the most up-to-date search engine marketing optimization techniques and tools. Find out more at knowhowmarketinglab.com. Yeah, and speaking of Google, that was such a good lead in. Google's always doing things, and to make a better user experience, there's been several updates. And you know what's really funny is I've had a client who is bailing on me. I know it's really sad, but it's because they don't see value, because SEO is, well, it's a hidden profession. You don't see what people are doing. And it's hard to tell people that don't know, well, hey, there's algorithm updates. So even if you're doing really well, all of a sudden you could get hit. And there's been like 4, or 5 in the last like 3-4 months. It's been like a lot. We're not going to get dinged with the spam update. And if you're getting dinged with the spam update, you should really look at what you're doing. But, right, if you're on the good side of Google, usually things keep working out. But that being said, we all make mistakes, right? I took a whole bunch of pages off my site that had been published mistakenly. And so I have a bunch of 404 pages. So therefore I've created a bad user experience, right? And one of the things you fix right away is 404 pages. So even SEOs get it wrong.
I can't believe you did that.
Well, they weren't supposed to be published. I didn't know they had been indexed. I should have assumed.
I see. Yeah, it can take a little while for things, just for the people out there. It can take a while. That's the other thing. You get a site up, and then the next thing you do, a week later, you get an email from a client saying, I can't find my site online. I'm like, I just sent the site map, and it takes people a while to find it and index it appropriately to keywords.
After you guys launch websites, do you do a site map for people?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's an automatic, typically, when I throw up a site, to have all of the basics of SEO in place and an index file for the spiders. The one thing I was going to say about that was that I'm not sure if people could be fully aware that, because everybody knows, like, you can create a page. I'm talking WordPress here. You can create a page on your WordPress site and publish it, but if you don't put it in the menu, there's no links, and if nobody knows about it. But if you have a good plugin in place that is creating that XML file of your page structure and you publish it, it's going to be in that. So next time Google comes and looks at that, they'll see it and they might look at it and start indexing it, even though you've created the page and not put it in your menu, but it's published. It is still accessible. So it's possible for people to get to it. So don't publish pages that you don't want to have in these files.
One slight correction to that part is you do want to have it connected somehow to other pages. An orphan page is definitely not a good one, because you could just have it like it connects to like a blog post and it's on the blog page. So then it still is like out there. But you want it to connect.
In the case of landing pages, wouldn't you do orphan pages that are not indexed? You just put the no index thing? That's usually what I do for landing pages.
Landing pages, you would do no index, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
okay, good. I like to know the thing. The other thing,
We got a question. Let me just say hello, Julie. Nice to see you. Yolanda, you are right. It is confusing. And Greg and Phelan and Rena, this is for you. This is not a question for me. It is, what is a good plugin for creating those XML files?
Yoast. That's the one.
Yeah.
I just use that one out of the box.
Yoast or Rank Math, most of the SEO plugins will have an XML file option. I believe I remember WordPress saying that they were actually putting it in their system that an XML file for page structure was automatically going to be in the system also. I have to check on that. I seem to recall that a version of WordPress at some point might have put in that file automatically.
A lot of people are doing, and I really like it, on the footer. If you look at like the big businesses like Apple or Amazon, you see in the footer they have like, it's like a sitemap now, right?
Yeah. Actually, and that's what I was going to say before everyone goes and jumps on and makes their giant menus at the top of their WordPress site. You don't need to have them there. You can put just your main ones up at the top, and then you can put the whole entire thing in the footer.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And that's a design change that is relatively new. And we see design changes over the years, right? I wonder what next year will be. Like, everybody was upset with the hamburger menu on a desktop, I have to say.
I know, which is really funny because it's really slick, and everybody knows how to.
But when you look at it from usability point of view, on a big desktop, show the menu so you don't have to click something to get somewhere, right? Like, the usability of it is less. The look of it is clean, and people like clean, but I go usability over clean any day.
Yeah, I mean,
it's really funny because people really know how to use it on their mobile, so it really makes me. I just find it so ironic that it's like second nature on a mobile, but you can't find it on the desktop.
People know, they find it, they see it, they know. The point I'm getting across is that if you have all of that real estate and you can show it so people can see it without having to click something, that's a much better usability case than hiding it and having the user being like, okay, well, what pages are on this site? Okay, I got to click here, something appears, and then they can get somewhere.
So Yolanda is asking, and definitely, I guess the consensus is no, don't use it on your desktop version, but definitely you need to use it on your mobile still, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Sorry, I'm just learning how to use Ecamm, it seems. Oh, I like Yolanda's comment. Visibility over vanity.
Visibility over vanity.
Right, it's true.
Yeah. But man, there's still some, not all sites, but there are occasionally some really beautiful sites that I see that are, appropriately beautiful, like where the form and function and the point of the site matches. And I don't want a menu across the top on those ones. So.
Right.
But for most cases,
it depends. Like, everything's with context, I think.
Yeah.
There are like
I'm
not a fan of mega menus, and those are like when you go over like Google inside Google platforms like Google Ads, in their platform they have mega menus, or I think Amazon has it's a lot of information, and then you have choice paralysis.
Yes.
Oh my god. Okay, but back to the news. I don't know. Okay, so when I was a little kid, I watched this thing called Gary Gnu's. No, Gnu's is good Gnu's. If you've ever seen that or heard of that, I really want to know because people think I'm crazy. Other than that, we have, I don't know, have you guys noticed when you type in your business name into Google now, or you can type in my business, Google shows up. It's all new. How it looks. They've changed how it looks. So they want you to use your Google business profile in the search engine results pages, and they are pushing it hard.
Sure are.
I kind of dig it, but people do have to learn how to use it. It's a little confusing, right? Better than it was 2 weeks ago. Better than it was. So we have that. And Phelan, what's going on with, what is it called? Is it called Data Studio?
Well, Data Studio has been finally integrated with a company that Google bought in 2020 called Looker. It does a bunch of machine learning and business intelligence stuff. It's definitely very enterprise, and so now Data Studio is now called Looker Studio, which I'm not a big fan of that name.
That's a funny name to choose.
It's like
your Looker Studio.
Yeah, it's one of those ones, like, it should have been like Data Studio with the Looker add-on. Is what it should have been, but
Data. It's about the data, so it made so much sense. Now people are going to be like, what is this thing? You're like, oh, I use Looker.
Or I'm going to forget, and I'm going to say it's something to do with a sense, and I have no idea what it's called.
Yeah.
It
does. Funny. So it does actually open up, like, there's apparently going to be a paid tier. It's now being integrated into, like, the 360 platform, which is, like, their enterprise. Like, you get the privilege of giving Google $100,000 a month to get their enterprise software. And so apparently it's
so who's using that? None of us, I don't think.
And,
just yet.
Yeah, not this week.
Not this
yeah. I don't think we're quite there just yet.
Well, if we added up, if we got a whole bunch of more clients and then we were premier partners for Google, then maybe? Or do we have to be a solo business to get that?
My understanding is it's like Coca-Cola, like that's who's using the 360 platform. Someone who's spending several $1 million in ad budget, and $100,000 is like a rounding error to their budget.
Speaking of Coca-Cola, which reminds us of Pepsi, Pepsi has recently pulled out of doing...
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, and so I'm thinking when Coca-Cola stopped advertising, they lost half their market share to Pepsi. Now Pepsi's pulling out of Super Bowl. So are they going to lose some market share? Is something new going to come up?
And who was the company that, I think I said that.
Is it Apple? Somebody. It's so interesting.
It's Apple Music. It's Apple Music. That's exactly what it was. Now I remember. Apple Music is going to have the Super Bowl spot. And I think it was for something like $5 million a year or $7 million a year over 5 years. Oh, yeah, $7 million over 5 years. That's what the contract is. That's a lot. $7 million.
Yeah, that's cushy.
They must be they're making so much money.
Speaking of that, which is really interesting, a bunch of numbers came out today. Facebook's down. Google's down.
Yeah.
Shopify's up. They beat expectations. So that's interesting, as like the e-commerce boom is still not like
I was thinking people would be going back to shopping in stores and there would be a little boom drop, but that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I think people like to shop online now a little more. If it's good service. I mean, it's funny because Costco never entered that market because they couldn't do it well. I don't know if you ever saw Costco's ability to order stuff.
Their e-commerce.
They do. What they've done is they've joined Instacart, and that's how they sell online.
Interesting.
So I've used it. I quite liked using it because I do a lot of grocery ordering. I don't do grocery shopping. I get mine usually from Save On Foods or Spuds, but you have to think in advance. I had a last minute event that I was doing, book club, and used Instacart, had the dude go to a Costco and pick out the things that I wanted and had it delivered in 2 hours. It was fantastic.
Holy bejeezers. That's that's a lot. We are out of time. We hit most of our news stories. Oh,
I did want to cover one last one. Just it'll only be a minute, but Figma getting purchased by Adobe.
All right.
That was a big one that happened. It was a $20 billion deal, and it'll be interesting to see how that goes through. Because, I'm sure that they were doing that before the interest rate. That deal was all solidified before interest rates went up, and now they're going to be paying out the nose for that $20 billion. But
wow.
Go on. I guess Musk is buying the Twitter.
Yeah, Delaware made him buy Twitter.
Well, we'll see what happens there. So if you don't know, I think is it the fourth Thursday of every month, we get on here and we do our roundup of all the things in, search, social, and websites. And then every week we do get on here and we do a talk. And if you're wondering what the talk's about, it is in our header image that Greg so graciously makes us. So people are agreeing with you, Rena, about Instacart and ordering and Musk. We'll see you all next time. And if you're watching us somewhere like YouTube, just know we do have a Facebook group called Cyberpunk Geeks Marketing Mixer. Come join us over there. All right. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
The conversation never stops in our Facebook group, Cyberpunk Geeks. Join us at facebook.com/groups/cyberpunk geeks to ask your questions, meet new friends, and learn even more about search, social, and websites.